The situation in Gaza takes a new turn as Hamas, the militant group, makes a significant move. Hamas announces the handover of another hostage's remains, but the story is far more complex than a simple exchange. In a tense atmosphere, Hamas plans to transfer the remains of an unidentified hostage on Friday night. This comes amid their efforts to maintain a fragile ceasefire with Israel, which has been marred by the search for bodies still trapped beneath the rubble in Gaza. The Qassam Brigades, Hamas's armed wing, revealed the retrieval of the remains earlier in the day, but kept the identity and location of the handover a mystery. Intriguingly, the brigades described the remains as belonging to an occupation prisoner, indicating an Israeli rather than a hostage from other nationalities held by Hamas. This revelation adds a layer of complexity to the situation. Israeli military and Shin Bet Security Service confirmed their knowledge of the Red Cross's journey to receive a deceased hostage's coffin in southern Gaza. The Israeli authorities emphasized the need for official identification for the families and urged Hamas to adhere to the ceasefire agreement, including the return of all deceased hostages. Hamas, committed to the ceasefire terms, has already handed over 9 hostages' remains to Israel this week, along with a 10th body that Israel claims is unrelated to the hostages. But here's where it gets controversial. The handover comes after U.S. President Donald Trump's warning that Israel could resume the war if Hamas fails to return all 28 hostages' bodies. Hamas blames Israel for the delay, citing restrictions on heavy machinery needed to search through the rubble. The war has left Gaza with limited heavy equipment, making the recovery process even more challenging. Hamas's search for remains in Hamad City, Khan Yunis, where Israeli forces had previously targeted apartment towers, highlights the urgency of the situation. Hamas calls for increased aid, the opening of the Rafah border crossing, and the establishment of a committee to govern the Gaza Strip. The original ceasefire plan demanded the handover of all hostages. But Hamas is now tasked with sharing information and expediting the return of deceased hostages. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stands firm, insisting on Hamas's compliance with the deal. However, retrieving the bodies is no easy task. Hamas assures the U.S. of its efforts, but American officials point to the scale of destruction and the danger of unexploded ordnance as obstacles. Adding to the complexity, Hamas claims some bodies are in areas controlled by Israeli troops. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan raises concerns about Israel using Hamas's equipment shortage as an excuse to restart the conflict. The release of Israeli hostages and the exchange of Palestinian prisoners have been significant steps. But the Hostage and Missing Families Forum in Israel vows to continue rallies until all remains are returned. Israel has returned some Palestinian bodies for burial, but the exact numbers remain undisclosed. Allegations of mistreatment have surfaced as a Palestinian forensics team examines the remains. The conflict's toll is staggering, with nearly 68,000 Palestinians killed, according to the Hamas-run government's health ministry. The Red Cross reports thousands more missing. The October 7, 2023 attack on Israel resulted in around 1,200 deaths and 250 hostages taken. As the international community responds, France, in collaboration with Britain and the U.S., is set to propose a UN resolution for an international force in Gaza. The force, backed by Arab countries, will oversee Egyptian-trained Palestinian police. The UN highlights the limited aid reaching Gaza due to crossing closures and restrictions on aid groups. Despite the ceasefire agreement allowing 600 humanitarian aid trucks daily, only 339 have entered Gaza since the ceasefire began. The UN calls for more crossings to be opened, emphasizing the need for a substantial increase in aid. As the situation unfolds, the world watches and waits for the full implementation of the ceasefire agreement and the resolution of the hostage crisis. Will Hamas's actions lead to a lasting peace, or will the region be plunged back into conflict? The fate of the hostages and the future of Gaza hang in the balance, leaving room for debate and discussion.